The Grito de Dolores, was uttered from the small town of Dolores, near Guanajuato in Mexico, on September 16, 1810. It is the event that marks the beginning of the Mexican War of Independence. The grito was the pronunciamiento of the Mexican War of Independence by Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, a Roman Catholic priest. Since October 1825, the anniversary of the event is celebrated as Mexican Independence Day. The event, Hidalgo and several criollos were involved in a planned revolt against the Spanish colonial government, when several plotters were killed. Fearing his arrest, Hidalgo commanded his brother Mauricio, as well as Ignacio Allende and Mariano Abasolo, to go with a number of other armed men to make the sheriff release the pro-independence inmates there on the night of April 15. They managed to set 80 free. Around 6 a.m. on September 16, 1810, Hidalgo ordered the church bells to be rung and gathered his congregation. Flanked by Allende and Juan Aldama, he addressed the people in front of his church, encouraging them to revolt. The siege of Guanajuato, the first major engagement of the insurgency, occurred 4 days later. Mexico's independence would not be effectively declared from Spain in the Declaration of Independence of the Mexican Empire until September 28, 1821, after a decade of war. Wording: this is celebrated on September 16, 1810. There is no scholarly consensus as to what exactly Hidalgo said at the time, as the book The Course of Mexican History states the exact words of this most famous of all Mexican speeches are not known, or, rather, they are reproduced in almost as many variations as there are historians to reproduce them. The book goes on to claim that the essential spirit of the message is, "My children, a new dispensation comes to us today. Will you receive it? Will you free yourselves? Will you recover the land stolen 300 years ago from your forefathers by the hated Spaniards? We must act at once. Will you defend your religion and your rights as true patriots? Long live Our Lady of Guadalupe. Death to bad government. Death to the Gachupines." By contrast, William F. Cloud divides the sentiments above between both Hidalgo and the crowd. Hidalgo told them that the time for action on their part had now come. When he asked, "Will you be slaves of Napoleon or will you as patriots defend your religion, your hearths and your rights?" there was a unanimous cry, "We will defend to the utmost. Long live religion, long live our most holy Mother of Guadalupe. Long live America. Death to bad government, and death to the Gachupines." Hidalgo, a unregistered trademark grito, did not condemn the notion of monarchy or criticize the current social order in detail, but his opposition to the events in Spain and the current viceregal government was clearly expressed in his reference to bad government. The grito also emphasized loyalty to the Catholic religion, a sentiment with which both Creoles and Peninsulars could sympathize. However, the strong anti-Spanish cry of "oe death to the Gachupines" probably had caused horror among Mexico unregistered trademark's elite. Remembrance. This event has since assumed an almost mythic status. Since the late 20th century, Hidalgo y Costilla unregistered trademark's cry of independence has become emblematic of Mexican independence. Each year on the night of November 31 at around 11 in the evening, the President of Mexico rings the bell of the National Palace in Mexico City. After the ringing of the bell, he repeats a shout of patriotism based upon the Grito de Dolores, with the names of the important heroes of the Mexican War of Independence who were there on that very historical moment included, and ending with the threefold shout of a "Viva Ma copyright Zico." From the balcony of the palace to the assembled crowd in the Plaza de la Constitución Cubed en, or Czar Cubed Carlo, one of the largest public plazas in the world. After the shouting, he rings the bell again and waves the flag of Mexico to the applause of the crowd, and is followed by the playing and mass singing of the Himno Nacional Mexicano, the national anthem, with a military band from the Mexican Armed Forces playing. This event draws up to 500,000 spectators from all over Mexico and tourists worldwide. On the morning of September 16, or Independence Day, the National Military Parade in honor of the holiday starts in the Czar Cubed Carlo and its outskirts, passes the Hidalgo Memorial and ends on the Paseo de la Reforma, Mexico City unregistered trademark S Main Boulevard, passing the El Angel Memorial Column and other places along the way. A similar celebration occurs in cities and towns all over Mexico, and in Mexican embassies and consulates worldwide on the 15th or the 16th. The mayor rings a bell and gives the traditional words, with the names of Mexican independence heroes included, ending with the threefold shout of Viva Mexico. The bell ringing for the second time, the waving of the Mexican flag and the mass singing of the national anthem by everyone in attendance. There are also celebrations in schools as well all over the country. In the 19th century, it became common practice for Mexican presidents in their final year in office to reenact the Grito de Dolores Hidalgo, rather than in the National Palace. President Caldera then officiated at the Grito de Dolores Hidalgo as part of the bicentennial celebrations in 2010 on the 16th of September, even though he had to do this first, to launch the national bicentennial celebrations, in the National Palace balcony on the night of the 15th. As a result, the 2012 commemoration, his last as president, was held in the National Palace balcony instead, thus becoming the third president breaking the traditional practice. The following day, September 16, is Independence Day in Mexico and is considered a patriotic holiday, or fiesta patria. This day is marked by parades, patriotic programs, drum and bugle and marching band competitions, and special programs on the national and local media outlets, even concerts. Full version of the Shout of Dolores today. This is the version often recited by the President of Mexico in the national commemorative activity in the National Palace or at the church in Dolores Hidalgo. For each line beginning a Viva, N. recited by the President, the crowd respond with a Viva, N. Local leaders can adapt this to their respective circumstances from the state to the municipal or city level. English, Mexicans. Long live the heroes that gave us the fatherland. Long live Hidalgo. Long live Morelos. Long live Josefa Ortiz de Dominguez. Long live Allende. Long live Galena and the Bravos. Long live Aldama and Matamoros. Long live national independence. Long live Mexico. Long live Mexico. Long live Mexico. Spanish, a Mexicanos. A vivan los ha copyright Rose que nos dieron la patria y libertad. A viva Hidalgo. A viva Morelos. A viva Josefa Ortiz de Dominguez. A viva Allende. A viva Galena y los Bravo. A viva Aldama y Matamoros. A viva la independencia nacional. A viva ma copyright Zico. A viva ma copyright Zico. A viva ma copyright Zico. Notes. References. External links, Mexico Connect El Grito, Bibliography and Hemorrhagraphy, Miguel Hidalgo and Costilla. Miguel Hidalgo and Costilla, Documents of 1810 and 1811. Chronology of Miguel Hidalgo and Costilla, Mexico celebrates its bicentennial, slideshow by Life magazine.